Hello everyone, thanks for stopping back today. This is a 7-week project that has, I believe, come to an end. And that was testing out running a 7.5 cubic foot refrigerator off power stations and solar. And I've, like I said, been doing this for 7 weeks. And it's worked out really well. So we have a off-grid cabin in Canada. It's on an island. And there's no power to it. The power was never brought over to the island. So we had a refrigerator that died last year while we were up there. And it was a matter of deciding, do we want to replace it with residential and figure out power, or do we want to buy another off-grid cabin propane refrigerator? And looking at the cost, it was about the same for either, the outlay. So we decided to go with figuring out power stations and getting some power over there. So it all started with the design, and I decided to, birds allowed today, decided to go with Bluetti as the power stations of choice. So I have an AC 200 Max and an AC 180 that I was using. And then I've been using these two 200 watt each solar panels from Allpowers. They're the portable Allpowers solar panels, and testing's turned out well. So let me get spun around here and I'll show you all the equipment. Okay, let's go take a look at the solar panels here real quick. As I mentioned, these are the 200 watt Allpowers. I have these in series via one cable between the two of them, and these are working out really well. I just kind of laid them up here on this opening. This opening is east-west directly, so I was getting quite a bit of sun throughout the day. It's kind of they're naturally kind of leaning up on the hill, so it created a nice angle, but it's gotten had the ability to get quite a bit of sun throughout the day as the sun set over to the west there. And then I ran two cables going into the house. I've got a 50-footer and a 20-footer connected. So 50 feet got me up to about here. And then there was a 20-footer I added. And these are just MC4 connections. And it's just running right into the house, to the front of the house. So quite a distance, 75 feet. And it's worked out really well. And don't mind my pup there. All right, let's go inside and let's go around front. Let me show you what's out front. What we have here are, I found these on Amazon. These are like 1 foot ribbon power cables with MC4 connectors on them, made for going through tight spaces like windows. And these worked out really well. So I bought 2 sets. This goes to the main array. I had another set here that I used for another panel to charge up either other power stations or add a second input to the AC 200 Max. So that's what I was doing with that. So those have worked out really well. All right, let's go inside and see what we have inside for our setup. This is right inside the window. You can see both sets of the cables coming in, MC4 connectors. Right next to those are the 2 power stations. On top, we have the AC 180. On the bottom, we have the AC 200 Max. So this is what we've been using for the last 7 weeks. I've been running this test for 7 weeks now. And it's worked out absolutely fantastic, actually. And there's the little 7 cubic foot fridge This was purchased at Walmart. Presently doing a defrost in it, getting it ready for travel next weekend. So I just turned it on to do a little demo here. But this is what we were using. And there's the details, in case you're wondering what it's rated at. This is one of the Frigidaire models. I think it was $199, if anybody's asking. I think they have different models out there. But this is what we've been running for 7 weeks off of the AC200 Max. And I did a battery of tests. No pun intended. But when I initially hooked it up, my thought was use the 180 to power the fridge and then backfeed it with the 200 Max while charging the 200 Max. Well, that didn't work. It drained everything too fast. So I think the overhead of using the DC converter in this was just, it didn't make sense to run it. So I switched pretty quickly to just using the AC200 Max, keeping this as a backup, and that's the way it's ran for, well, 6 weeks, because I was doing those other tests the first week. And no issues, really. What I've found is this fridge will draw about 30% of the AC200 Max during the night. I'm just going to turn this off because we're getting that thawed. So yeah, it'll use about 30% during the night. If you are lower than 30% come the evenings, you're best to put on your backup. But I haven't really run into that issue. I might have one time. I think there was one time where we had a stretch of about 5 days with very little sun, and it finally dwindled this down to, like, I don't know, it might have been 10% in the evening. I knew there was no way I was going to make it. But yeah, 30% at night. I always kept this charged. That's what the extra MC4 connector was to charge this and charge, have that charging all the time. As far as how the 400 watts of solar did charging this, did remarkably well. The nice thing about having the 400 watts as opposed to 200 watts was no matter what the forecast was outside, I was pretty much breaking even on what I used. This refrigerator uses about 40 to 60 watts when it's running. When I had 400 watts of solar on this, I was getting about, on the cloudiest days, I was getting between 40 and 60 watts. So it was pretty much a wash, which is pretty good. On your sunny days, you were just, charging your battery. So, but that's the way it's worked out. It worked out really well. I wouldn't go any smaller. I would stick with I think this, about 2,000 watt hours, or 2 kilowatts is the way to go for a decent sized fridge. One of those little dorm fridges, maybe another story. You might be able to get away with something like the 180. One thing I did notice, I ran this fridge off of just the AC 180, and you could get about 1 day's worth of runtime without solar. So 1 day's worth of runtime here without solar, and 2 days worth of runtime on the 200 Max without solar. So that's straight up, plug it in, run it. That's what you get. Of course, that depends on how often you open and close your refrigerator and temperature outside, etc. But average runtime was a little under a day and a little under 2 days on the 200 Max. But that's what I've been doing for the last 7 weeks. It's been testing this setup and seeing what worked and what didn't. Now we just need to get this up to the cottage, and that's next weekend. So we're going to haul all this up there and lay it out and see how it's going to work. Yep. All right. Well, thanks for stopping by. Any questions, let me know. Hopefully I can answer them. But this setup has worked well for what I'm hoping to intend it for. All right. We'll see you on the next one.